We are back again to grow one of the biggest gardens filled with vegetables with the all-new updated Bloomlordmon and Hydramon and Quartzmon deck. Digimon fans, welcome back, and today we'll be showcasing the newly updated version of the Bloomlord Hydramon deck. With the addition of Quartzmon from BT12, it gave the deck the perfect level 7 boss Digimon, which can literally suspend everything on board. Just like before, this deck is super fast at turboing into your level 6s and going wide at the same time, which helps get into Quartzmon super easy as you can gain a bunch of memory back when you Digivolve into it. Playing this deck does require quite a bit of thinking and time to practice, but don't worry because like always, I got you guys covered with the basic combo guides to help you learn and understand the deck better. But first, let's get into the deck profile. Alright, starting with our usual Digi-Egg cards, we got the 4 copies of Argomon of your turn. When this Digimon becomes unsuspended, specifically during your unsuspend phase, you get to gain a memory. It happens a lot. There's a lot of control and you pass your opponent down to their turn and then it comes back to yours. You can get a lot of value with this Digi-Egg all the time, and usually your stacks do survive for that unsuspending, and gaining that extra memory to prolong those turns really is value for you, and the 4 Digi-Egg cards is really all you need. And then let's start off with our rookies here, moving into our main searcher of the deck. Still super crucial, still super good, where we got the 4 copies of Palmon from BT10. On play, it searches top 4 of your deck, adding 1 card with vegetation or plant in its traits and 1 card with fairy in its traits among them to your hand. Mainly your targets that you get to hit would be your Bloomlordmon, which is going to be your fairy, and then anything else in this deck, which is almost going to be vegetation and plant. So being able to get those 2 hits is always going to be very nice. Otherwise, getting 1 hit as well is good too, so that you can find pieces that you need. And this is, like I said, your main searcher of the deck. That's why you want to play the 4 copies no matter what. Next up, we got the 4 copies of the EX3 Palmon. Very simple with its effect, where your turn when an effect suspends this Digimon, you suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. It happens very frequently. You're going to be suspending your own Digimon a lot all the time, and then by doing so, you get to suspend theirs. You can potentially swing over it or basically stop a blocker or something like that. It's always going to be very nice and combos very nicely with your top end synergy, which we'll talk about more in the combo segment later on. But yeah, 4 copies is all we need. Next, we play 2 copies of Mushroommon. This is specifically also a vegetation to sort of like synergize with the archetype and traits that we have. But otherwise, it is a 2-cost vanilla 3k that I can hard slap down. You can sort of manipulate the memory gauge with it. Otherwise, in order to combo with our synergy, with our traits, we get to play this via an effect, and we can potentially Digivolve it into level 4. So really helpful. Otherwise, you Digivolve it on top of your Digi-Egg card sometimes as well with this guy. And yeah, 2 is really all I need for now. If you guys are fans of both Dragons and Digimon, then be sure to check out our latest battle series with Dragonic Roar EX3. Sam and I will be teaming up once again to play against our friends with the Evil Virus Imperialdramon and 4 Great Dragons deck against Examon and Hydramon. Come find out which dragon is the strongest by watching the newest episode after this video, where links will be left in the description box down below. Also, don't forget to subscribe and give this video a like, as it really helps, and I appreciate the support from all of you. Next up, we got 2 Terriermons. This one is basically to stop your opponents from gaining any memory other than any tamer effects. And this is really crucial with this floodgate. In this current format, it seems to be more people are gaining memory, and it just really depends on the meta relevant and sort of the shift in terms of how many you want to play. Keep in mind though, you don't want to be playing too much, even though memory gaining is very popular currently, just because Terriermon is not a plant or a vegetation, which does not synergize with your combos with its traits whatsoever. So you got to be cautious when you're playing this card. And otherwise, the other last rookie I like to showcase is this Palmon. It is a vegetation, which probably more people would like to ideally play. However, there is its drawbacks because of its all turns effects. Players can play Digimon by effects, and it actually does stop your own deck a little bit, but otherwise the main idea to usually play this card is to sort of counter your opponents. Once you play everything and flooded your own board with everything that you really need with effects by playing those Digimon, then that's when you want to slap down this guy afterwards, then to stop anything else that your opponents would be playing potentially. But other than that, there's not a whole lot of playing by effects currently in my local scene, or just even in in a format that I feel like at the moment. Therefore, this card may not be as useful, but really comes down to your own personal preference on how many Terriermons or Pomamons you want to juggle between these two. So yeah. That's it for our rookies. Let's talk about our level 4s. We got the 4 copies of Sunflowmon, also from BT10 once again. Still a very crucial core piece of the deck that you want to be seeing as often as possible because of its when Digivolving effect. By suspending one of your green Digimon, it can be itself as well, or one of your other green Digimon. You get to play a Digimon that is Vegetation, Plant, or Fairy in its traits from your hand with 3000 DP or less for free. And that's really, really important because that helps you sort of go wide. That's how going to help you sort of bridge into your combos over and over again. And this is why you always want to be Digivolving this particular card in the battle area specifically to utilize that effect. Other than that, it does have the inheritable of your turn once per turn. When it effect suspends one of your own Digimon, you get to draw a card, and it happens a lot. It's going to be really crucial because you want to get your draw power engine going. Green does lack draw power, and Sunflowmon compensates it by a lot, which is why you play the 4 copies of, and no less. Next, for a brand new addition, we actually have Yakimon from BT12, and we play 2 copies of this guy. This is simply just a blocker that you want to just slap on the board, and it's always nice because when you do play it via effects, it gives you just a little bit of extra layer of like defensive plays with its blocker capability, and yeah, definitely a really nice addition to the deck for sure. Next up, we have 4 copies of Red Vegiemon. This one's very simple. We play it for its vegetation trait, and it's a 1 Digivolve cost, which really is very effective, which is what green does best. You can always just Digivolve onto a rookie for 1 cost, and then you can even turbo into a 3 and then bridge into a 6 afterwards with that 1 memory. Is just why this card is just super good, and it does have meet the 3000 DP threshold to help you with the deck. Similarly, exactly the same reason why we play 2 copies of this Weedmon right here. 1 cost to Digivolve, 3000 DP, also vegetation. It does have an extra inheritable where when this card will be trashed due to Digiburst, you get to gain 1 memory back. However, just letting you guys know ahead of time, we don't play any Digiburst targets anymore in this deck. So really, we're just focusing mainly on for its 1 cost Digivolve and 3000 DP. And yeah, we don't play Nidhogg anymore, just letting you guys know. But we'll talk a little bit more about it later on. That's it for level 4s. Let's talk about our level 5s. We still definitely have to play the 4 copies of Hydramon. It's basically like Sunflowmon, but it's a main effect, meaning it's once per turn and you can use it turn after turn, which is going to give you a lot of long-term value overall. Basically, by suspending one of your green Digimon, it could be itself or any other, you get to play a vegetation, plant, or fairy 3000 DP or less for free from your hand, which is going to be really great. And it has the inheritable. Your turn once per turn, when it effect suspends one of your own Digimon, you get to gain a memory. Very similar again to Sunflowmon, and giving you a lot of value with this card is that definitely you always want to be seeing this as your level 5 play as often as you can, so that you can flood the board once again and turbo into your combos is really what this is all about. Next up, we got 3 copies of Bloomlordmon. One of the best cards to come out from BT3 and still today played in this particular deck. Is just so good. Vegetation and its traits, really great. Digizorb 3, so that you can basically get into a level 5 for free. Is really how good this card really is, and 3 copies is definitely a really good amount. Next, we have Cherrymon. Similar idea with that as well. Instead of Digivolving 3, it Digizords for 2, so that you can potentially just Digivolve this for 1 cost, but still very memory efficient. But it has a secondary effect, which is going to be really nice for your defensive plays, which is opponent's turn once per turn. When opponent's Digimon attacks, you can switch your target to one of your suspended Digimon. So being able to redirect with this guy is going to be really nice, so that you can set up a really strong board and your opponent's going to have a lot of tricky situations to try to swing over it or try to break it or try to go over it and whatnot. Is the exact reason why this card is so good too. That's it for our level 5s. Let's now talk about our level 6 boss Digimons right here. Of course, you still definitely need the 4 copies of Bloomlord. He just does so much for the deck. He is your main offensive tool. You get to, when Digivolve, suspend one of your own Digimon, gain a memory back. If you gain 2 or more memory, you get to basically unsuspend this guy as well, and basically gains piercing. And then also its secondary effect is your turn constantly checking that if you have 2 suspended Digimon in play, for every 2 suspended, you gain extra 2000 DP and security +1. So if you ever go super wide with this deck and you get into this guy, you can gain a lot of memory back, unsuspend, and swing and do massive checks and massive DP as well. Is just super good. And yeah, you definitely need to play the 4 of, because you want to see this guy as often as possible. It's super memory efficient, super really good, and just super strong as your attacker of the deck. And of course, like always, we have the defensive guy of the deck, which is also just as good. We got 3 copies of the Hydramon. When Digivolving, you suspend one Digimon. It can be yours, it can be your opponent's. And with its alternative effects, when an opponent's Digimon becomes suspended, for every other Digimon with Vegetation, Plant, or Fairy in their traits you have in play that is suspended, you gain a memory back. So it's almost like an ice wall on legs for the particular archetype for this deck. It's of course very defensive. It has a third effect as well. End of your turn, once per turn, if you have 2 or more suspended Digimon, including itself this time, that is plant, vegetation, or fairy in their traits, you get to return one of your opponent's Digimon to the bottom of the deck that is suspended as well. So really good card. If you don't see Bloomlord, getting into this guy early is just as good as well, because you can pressure, you can basically floodgate, you can slow down your opponent's plays, particularly with this card. And when you do potentially see the both of them, that's when you really pop off with the double combo, where you have both a perfect shield for defense and the perfect spear for attacking as well. That's it for level 6s. Now let's talk about our brand new level 7 Digimon right here, which is Quartzmon. Super good for the deck. Lots of great synergy. You Digivolve for 6 on top of a green level 6. And it just itself has 15 KDP, which is incredibly strong. You're never going to use this black box text to Digivolve it anyways, so really utilizing it to go on top of your Bloomlord or going on top of your Hydramon. More ideally, it's going to be your Bloomlordmon, so that you can be very offensive and you still have the defensive capabilities with Hydramon. And when Digivolving, you suspend all other Digimon and Tamers, and for every 2, you gain a memory back. Since you go so wide in this deck particularly, you can gain so much memory, and also not including your opponent's side. If they have a lot of stuff, you're going to gain a lot of memory back as well. So effectively, you can even like Digivolve this for a cost of like 0 sometimes, which is really, really insane. And it has a when attacking effect. You suspend one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamer, so that anything that they try to put out afterwards, you get to continue to suspend it over and over again. And then for every 5 card that is suspended on the board, you trash your opponent's security when it's attacking. So it's super strong, stunning the entire board. And in clutch situations, playing this card can really just help you seal the deal of the game, and you just basically win from this by itself, but not super needed as well. But again, just an ultra powerful card, a very, very nice top end boss Digimon to top it off for the Bloomlord deck specifically. That's it for all of our Digimon. Let's talk about our Tamers. We got 1 copy of Mimi right here. I've been arguing and sort of like debating against myself to see if I want to play 2 or not. 2, just because I want to see the memory Tamer as efficiently as possible, being to always hatch an egg and promote an extra time is just really, really nice with her. However, the other argument is that this deck doesn't even require memory Tamer at all, and you just gain so much memory, and you can just make your plays anyways without her. And so it just really comes down to personal preference at this point, but therefore I concluded to go for 1 for the time being, but otherwise I would sometimes even switch back to 2 if I really feel like I need to as well. That's it for Tamers. Let's talk about our options. 4 copies of Green Memory Boost is definitely a must. Searching, gaining memory, green does lack a lot of searching and draw power. Your draw power comes from your combos instead, and therefore in the early stages of the game, Green Memory Boost gives you so much value, finding the piece that you need. And this is the other argument that you guys might want to be playing this instead of Mimi, just because this gives you so much early game value, again, to help you get into your pieces, get into your combo plays. Way more efficient, whereas Mimi doesn't really do that for you instead. So this is why 4 Green Memory Boost is a must-have. And then, of course, as per usual, HPD, your combo extender, bridges you all the way to an insane turn that you can potentially play with it. And the main thing is that you don't always need to see it with this deck particularly, but you guys can see why when you do see this card in this deck, and when you do get to make that crazy combo play for that turn, it goes really insane, and hence this is why it's only restricted down to 1. And then last but not least, just another tech, just some Santi, so that you can suspend one of your opponent's Digimon by suspending your own Digimon as well, or Tamers as well, which is going to be really nice. So either or, and just to give you a little bit of versatility play as a cool tech that you want. Sometimes you might want to swing over something or remove something, whatnot, that is suspended, and by doing so, it can give you really clutch nice plays with this particular card. That's it for the 50 card main deck. Let's talk about other potential cards that you can be sort of adding and switching in, or whatever you would personally like, depending on your own playstyle. First and foremost, for a different egg, you guys can actually run Gummymon. You can do like an extra one if you want to do so. Just because at your turn, once per turn, when an opponent's Digimon becomes suspended, you get to draw 1 card, and you do suspend a lot of your opponent's Digimon with this deck anyways. and being able to give that extra draw is going to be really nice with the Gummymon, and it's going to come up every now and then. There is also Palmon from BT11. This is at the start of your turn, you get to draw one extra card to sort of help you compensate a little bit of the draw power. However, most of our rookies, there's not enough room. We really want to be digivolving it instead than having it hang around. Therefore, Palmon is not played in my current build. And then we have the other argument is with the other new BT11 Vegemon right here. At the start of your turn, you get to gain another memory. This one can be arguably kind of be quite decent just because like you do sometimes play your level 4s and then it might just sit there for the turn. And then once you do get that turn and comes back to you, you can get that value to gain a memory. However, it does cost 2 to digivolve, which is kind of counterintuitive with my 1 memory cost sort of like play, because you want to focus on the level 4s that can, just digivolve for 1, and then you can go into your level 5s even if your opponent chokes you down. And that means a whole lot, because that means a whole entire turn of play that you can miss out upon on, which is why again I didn't include this, but some people do play this, which is not bad at all. Another notice that I've sort of changed is that I took up Chimeramon. I used to think Chimeramon's really good. I still do, just because you play a lot of level 4s via effects. You can potentially just like put them together and then go into Chimeramon DNA, and you have an unsuspended guy right here to swing. You can grab anything that you want back that's like level 5 or lower to put it underneath it, and then potentially like grabbing a piece so they can go into like your top end as well, which is going to be super nice. However, I feel like I just want to focus more on Digizorping now. Doing those combos as much as I can, just turbo more cards and find the pieces I need is more of the focus now instead of playing Chimeramon. But otherwise, you guys can definitely tech one in, which I think is still really, really good. And then the other discussion is that we have is the Nidhogg, which we took out. Now our top end looks a lot more different because we have the addition of Quartzmon. We can't afford to add any more different level 6s. I think this is a pretty nice change to add in if you want to take out one Hydramon or Bloomlord, just based on your personal preference. It can come out really, really nice with a combo alongside with Quartzmon. If you have a Quartzmon on board already that's suspended all your opponent's Digimon and they're just going wide and whatnot, eventually if you build a stack with Nidhogg, you can Digiburst for it and just bottom deck all of their suspended Digimon. It's just super crazy, honestly. But again, in this current format, games don't tend to drag on that long to the point where you get to really do that, and you don't really need to deal with the board if there's permanently suspended anyways to begin with, unless that deck particularly has a way to easily out your Quartzmon. So again, that's up for discussion, but a 1 Nidhogg tech is not bad sometimes too. Last but not least, Grand Soul, just a great security bomb that you might sometimes have, being able to bottom deck one of your opponent's Digimon that is suspended, and if you have 2 or more suspended Digimon, you get to reduce the cost by 2, making it 6, which is kind of neat, memory efficient as well. Just a really great bomb, like I said, for the security, and yeah, definitely considerable for the deck as well. Alright, that's it for all the cards I want to talk about. Now let's jump into the combos and the strategy sort of segment of this particular deck, of how you want to be playing it. It's going to take a lot of practice for sure, but don't worry, here are some basic combos to help you guys to get started. And the concept from before, when I made this video, is very similar. Digivolving is your priority, and at the beginning stage of your turns, you really just want to be hard playing your Palmon to search as much as you can, as well as your green memory boost to grab pieces that you need, and that's what you really want to prioritize about. You'll be hatching and sort of building your stack. Don't digivolve your Palmon unnecessarily. You really need to, because you want to save Palmon just for the searching otherwise. And here's some really nice first turn plays. You digivolve into whatever rookie that you have, that's level 3 that you have, and you basically can just start in your first turn. You can then just digivolve into one of these 1 costs and just immediately put your opponent to 1 just like that as a first turn play without playing this Palmon or the green memory boost just yet. And then that's when you really want to follow up with these guys. Now, on the flip side, let's just say you're going second and your opponent puts you to sort of 1 memory as well. Then you just hatch your egg and digivolve. And then again, if you have your green memory boost and Palmon, that's when you want to play about it. Don't really want to digivolve this for 1 then, because then you have to put your opponent to 3 memory. So go a little bit slow, go find your pieces as much as you need. And eventually what you're going to want to be seeing is, once you digivolve into this, you want to be going into your Hydramon right here in the raising, just ready to go. And once your opponent passes you back to 1, you can basically just push it up and immediately use Hydramon's effect by suspending itself, or if you have another green body on the board already, which is going to be really fantastic, then immediately you can play anything that you really want. You can play a mushroom right here, you can play a red veggie, and just depending on what you have, your priority again is what you play. your goal is to try and digivolve as much as you can. Super important, because by digivolving as much as you can, you cycle your draw power cards. That's how green compensates for its lack of search and draw power, is by digivolving as much as you can. So no matter what you're playing, a level 3 or level 4, make sure you're able to digivolve it afterwards. Because if you play a level 3 right here, then it means you can pay 1 to go into red veggie, then cycle 1 card. That's your priority. If you have a level 5 or something like earlier, like Blossommons, that's why when you play the red veggie, so then you can suspend like a Powon you have or itself on the board to then digivolve into Blossommon right here and sort of go and play and continue that way as well. Otherwise, if you have a let's say if you have a little bit more memory to work with and you had 2, you can even digivolve into Sunflowmon, and then when digivolving by suspending some other Digimon or itself, you get to play something out just like Hydramon and just start going wide as much as you can. And this is really what the whole goal is. Once you set up to sort of this stage, let's just say you then want to be seeing your Bloomlordmon or Hydramon. Depending on what you see first is what you're going to be wanting to play first, because you don't really get to choose. Again, prioritizing digivolving is super crucial and super important. So let's just rewind a little bit, and your board state would probably look like something like this at this moment, and you probably be at 0 memory or whatnot. Then you can just immediately digivolve into a Bloomlordmon here for the 4 cost, and what it does, it's going to suspend your Blossommon, and then because you have 3 vegetations and suspended stuff, you're going to gain 3 memory back. And because you suspended the Blossommon as well, your Avatar is going to gain you an extra memory back, and just by doing so, you get to unsuspend your Bloomlord and just immediately swing in just like that to basically deal damage. Immediately, it's going to be 14k right here with security +1 and piercing. You can swing over something that your opponent has as well, and this is really the basic core combo. Otherwise, if you don't see Bloomlord, this is why you go into Hydra. Hydra is going to suspend one of your own Digimon or your opponent's Digimon and whatnot. You want to make sure your stuff is suspended as much as it can, so then you can gain a lot of memory back. Keep in mind, Hydra is going to put them to 5, and then potentially you're just going to gain 2 right here. And then at the end of the turn, you're going to bottom deck one of their stuff as well, and if that is suspended. So really versatile. And eventually, you're going to start with Hydra, and then eventually next turn you're going to suspend, Hydramon's, if they don't deal with it, they put you back to 1, you unsuspend with Argomon, you're going to gain a memory right here. And this is again why having your green memory boost is always super crucial, because instead of having the Mimi and the Tamer, you can just pop this at any time and you can immediately just extend your plays just like that. And let's just say, yeah, they weren't able to deal with your board. This is when, again, you can start doing your combos. You can obviously swing in with Hydramon first to deal some damage, and this is now where you can sort of like pay 2 to go into Sunflow, suspend Sunflow to play something once again, like like a red veggie, and then you can even suspend itself with Blossommon to like Digizorp right here and do all that shenanigans. And then because you suspend something, Agitar is going to gain a memory here now, and then you can go into Bloomlord here for 4 once again, press pass number 3, suspend itself, and then you can gain 1, 2, 3, 4 memory back to 1, and then unsuspend right here, and then continue swinging and do all those checks, which is like super crazy. And if ever in a situation you might want to be a little bit more defensive, this is when you have the memory to work with. That's when you can sort of Digizorp 1 by suspending something that you have as well to go into Cherrymon if you really need to, and then you get to draw with Sunflowmon if you have the Inheritable throughout. So make sure you pay attention to all these different effects and triggers that you can be actually pulling off. And in some situations, if you see a very clear shot to sort of stop everything and you can see yourself potentially winning the game and get a huge amount of advantage, this is when you can pay the 6 to Digivolve into Quartzmon. Now, usually I would always want to Digivolve on top of Bloomlord, just because once Bloomlord sort of like goes for its effect that turn already, it doesn't really provide you any much more value later in the turn, other than if you're able to suspend more of your own stuff and then swing for big damage afterwards. But you can also just do all of that and then go into a Quartzmon here, and then you would suspend everything on the board. Your board might be even wider than this current state. It could be like this. which is really crazy how what green can really get into with this particular build, which is why it's super good. You suspend so much stuff and you gain so much memory, and this is just only your side. Your opponent's gonna have a lot of stuff. They're gonna have Tamers, they're gonna have Digimon as well. You suspend all of it and stop all of it, and you can potentially go back to 0 just like that. And then all you have to do then moving forward is just continue to swing with Quartzmon until you take out all their security, trash all their security, and you can swing for game. Itself has 15 KDP, which is ultra strong. You still have the Hydramon end of turn effect, which bottom decks their Digimon, which is incredibly annoying to deal with as well. And if they ever do suspend their Digimon, you're going to gain a ton of memory just from that effect as well. And that is just super, super strong. Now, keep in mind that Quartzmon itself is not a plant or vegetation or fairy. It is unidentified, so it's not going to count for Hydramon and all your other combo effects, which is why you only really want to play Quartzmon when you're trying to top it off, final it off, and secure the game just like that. And this is why this deck is incredibly strong, but also incredibly fun to play, and definitely takes a lot of time and practice to sort of hone your skills, and so that you know exactly what you're doing to really optimize on how to combo off with it as well. That will wrap up for the deck profile for today. If you guys enjoyed the video and found it helpful, please give it a like. If you have any suggestions, recommendations, or questions, be sure to share it with everyone in the comments down below. We got lots more Digimon videos and content coming with BT12 deck profiles, so be sure to hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on that notification bell to stay tuned. If you guys just can't wait, I want to see early deck lists and first drafts made by me, then definitely join the Avault Club right now as well. As always, thank you so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you next video, and this is Avault signing out.